Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the new moon. Happened today. We're going to be talking about it, what it means for us spiritually, emotionally, energetically, and how we can expect to utilize the first 3 days of the new moon to bring the maximum benefit to our lives. And you'll hear me referring to planting seeds quite a bit. That's what this is about. Welcome to the new moon. Congratulations. We are here. It is time to celebrate. Really, the idea of the new moon is a time for celebration. When we're looking at how we've gone from the full moon waning and getting smaller and smaller, as you see the left-hand side of this diagram, it gets smaller. And what you see in the middle, just below the letter N of moon, is the new moon. You're not going to see this in the sky. You won't see a single sliver of it. And that is because we have this metaphorically, it's a clean slate. So if you can imagine, we did a lot of work as the full moon was waning and put our intentions into creating space and letting go. And now we get to watch our intentions with the seed of the mind and intention through our actions grow and become something very fulfilling. You will see from a pure astrological or astronomical standpoint through astronomy, you will see the new moon expand the most within the first 3 days. You will see more growth happen within specific areas of the phases leading to the full moon. But these first 3 days, we see a lot of growth. And it's important to understand the potential. As there is a lot of growth, we should take advantage of these first 3 days to bring into light and materialize that which we desire. And remember, we talked a lot about this idea of desire. But before we dive in, I just want you to know, thanks for supporting the channel and for listening, for watching. And we're going to dive in just a minute. For those who have not watched before, we talk about all things empowering, all things mystical and magical. And we're here to support the community that has an interest in the polymath lifestyle, that education for one's own self-discovery and improvement. So let's dive in here. What are the new moon facts? Here they are. The Kabbalistic aspects of the new moon are what follows here. Time to plant seeds. What does that mean? Well, let's say you've had a desire, but you haven't had the action. You haven't taken the action. Well, now is the time. You've planned it out. You thought about it. You have an idea of how you want to achieve it. And now it's time to act. So one of the most important aspects of the Kabbalistic new moon, or the new moon in terms of Kabbalah, and thinking of the divine mathematics of the universe, is to say, okay, here's where we got the clean slate, so let's get this foundation very strong. The foundation works with a combination of working through the subconscious mind and actually working upon it. So action, initiation, this is the time. So the subconscious mind, you can do a lot of work at night before you go to sleep. You can read affirmations, and in the morning you can do the same thing. If you think about the dream state, John O'Donohue describes it beautifully. The dream state is the time for a person's highest good to send letters to the person who's living in base reality. And he didn't say it in such a way. He said it in a much more elegant, poetic way. And I say it in a very matter-of-fact way. But the purpose of dream state is to send yourself letters. And what kind of letters are you imagining sending yourself? You can literally guide yourself in the beginning, before you go to sleep, by reading those affirmations that you wish to bring to light, especially now with us working with new moon energy. So the basic rules for affirmations, a lot of people ask me, well, how do I write an affirmation? You know, what are the key rules? And it's very simple. if you're writing it in English, if you're writing your affirmations in English, and I say this because I work with individuals who write their affirmations in Spanish as well. But if you're writing your affirmations in English, you simply want to remain in the present moment. For example, if I imagine having a new job, this is a good time for that. And we're going to talk about your individual Kabbalistic phase in a moment, because it could be that it's not the best time depending on where you are Kabbalistically and where the universe is Kabbalistically. For tonight, we're focusing specifically on moon aspects, and it has an influence. It has an impact on life, sometimes more influential depending on the day that you're born. And we'll talk about that in a moment. But for now, let's say you want a new job, okay? So instead of saying, I want a new job, and you're writing down on your piece of paper and going through the dream board process of adding details, maybe some illustrations, perhaps some magazine cutouts, believe it or not, they work great. You want something visual to look at, and you want this to be private, because a lot of people ask me, okay, if I'm doing affirmations, why should I keep them private? Why shouldn't I just share them with the world? And I say it's like sharing a letter with the world before it reaches its destination and the intended person. In other words, it's been opened up by 1 million people, perhaps intercepted, and likely it's not reaching its destination. That's why it's important to have the affirmation process be an intimate one between yourself and your highest good and what you imagine being in this moment, so that you can have a very strong cord that's connected between the two images. And you need both images. Remember, we talked about this entrance, this initiation into the mysteries, the great mysteries of life and the spiritual mysteries of life. They require initiation. And initiation is not going and paying a few $1,000s for a certification. I'm sorry to let you down if you've done that. True initiation comes through the self-discipline and the self-education and the shamanic journey that occurs through your own exploration of inside, not the outside, the own exploration of your heart. That's where initiation is. We talk about Kundalini rising. It's not rising outside of you. It's rising through your spinal column. That spinal column has been with you since the formation of your body in the fetus. The process is internal, okay? So when we talk about self-realization and self-improvement, it is an internal process, and it starts in the mind. So affirmations, to do them effectively, especially now, is to speak in the present moment and to add as many details as possible, and to keep the message private, I would say sacrosanct, between yourself and your highest good. This image of you breaking orbit where you are right now and making this trajectory something totally new, something you can really enjoy and feel fulfilled doing. And so if you're sharing this with the world on social media, if you're sharing this with your friends and family, you're bound to come across some, even if they speak to you in your face saying, wow, great for you, really happy about that, they're wishing that you fail. I can tell you right now, they're wishing that you don't complete it. They're wishing that you don't get there because they're not doing it. And this is the narcissistic world that we live in right now. Unfortunately, it is more narcissistic than ever in history, I would argue, because of social media and smartphone technology and the immediate gratification that comes from that, and the absolute lack of empathy, the projections of apathy for the sake of preserving one's image has overridden everything. And so what you need to do is keep this very sacred to yourself. So you grab a piece of paper from your journal in private and you write it down like this. I have a new job. Because we talked about this, you wanted the new job. I have a new job. This new job is working at, so on and so forth, with so on whomever it is, making X amount of dollars, doing X amount of things. And you see how I'm adding these details in the present moment? I'm not saying I want a job where I could be. No, because that's just going to say to the universe, I'm making an order for necessity. And the universe will say, great, I listen and I obey everything that you say. So if you're saying you need something, I'm going to give you the feeling of necessity, and that is it. You're not going to get the reality that you can imagine if you really wanted to. It's right here at my fingertips. All you have to do is imagine it, especially now with the new moon. The new moon gives us the propensity to bring those things into our life very quickly because the moon is growing in terms of its image to you. It's showing you the infinite potentials, and we have been looking at this as human beings for multiple thousands of years, and we already understand through quantum physics the power of the mind and thought. Think about the amount of dedicated meditation that has gone towards the moon. When we were really hungry, when we were really in need of making change and bringing something forth in our lives that would help us forward and help our families, help our friends, our communities. We counted on these spiritual signs, the moon being one of the biggest. Of course we revered the sun, but the moon was the time for creative output. Now that the moon is waxing, we get to access our angelic selves, our highest good. That's why this is the time for materialization. When it is waning, going from the full moon just to where it was a few days ago or yesterday, that was the animalistic self. We're shedding skin, folks. Like a snake, we were shedding the skin. And now we get to access the real angelic parts of who we are. That fragment of Adam Kadmon that exists in everyone. That fragment of Lilith that exists in everyone. The two powerful, immortal beings that came from the earth. We get to access those elements now. Because the womb, yes, the moon. The earth is like a womb. It's the moon is waning, waxing, it's getting bigger. Okay. So for the affirmation, you're imagining as many details as possible. You're saying, I have a new job. This new job is at. My commute to work is X, Y, and Z. I am imagining, I am communicating with my loved ones how happy I am to be working with X, Y, and Z. It has been a dream of mine to accomplish X, Y, and Z. And just put those details in. And as soon as you're done, you scan it through, you read the letter as if you're really experiencing it, as if there is no difference between having it and where you are in this moment reading the affirmations. And once you have that feeling and you've been able to soak it up, then I want you to fold it up, put it away somewhere where no one can interfere with it or put any sort of thought towards the process, because remember how powerful our thoughts are. Any sort of thoughts would interfere, and you just let it go and you move on to doing the things that you need to do that better your life. Okay? So let's talk a little bit about our individual phases. The easiest way for me to describe this is to talk about the universe's birthday from a Kabbalistic or Rosicrucian Kabbalah standpoint. Its birthday is the first day of spring, either March 21st or March 22nd. And so if you can imagine March 21st, March 22nd is the first day of the universe's birthday. It's the birthday. It's the first day of its first cycle of the year. And we have 7 cycles that occur Kabbalistically during the year. Each cycle runs for 52 days. I'll explain this again. 7 cycles, each one running for 52 days. Okay? And what's really interesting is we're looking at these repetitions of 7. They happen a lot. It's a very powerful number. When we look at 52 days, 5 plus 2 numerologically reduces to a 7. So we have 7 cycles of 52 days to make a year. Okay? And we're looking at 364 days at the end of all the mathematics. When we look at 364 days, we're also looking at a small period of time between the 364 and the 365 and a quarter, I want to say it is, for the year, that there's like a very magical time in between that. We'll save that for another day. But for the purposes of math today, think of 364 as the sum, 7 cycles, and every 52 days, the energetic principles of the phase change. So for the universe, let's just say the universe was born March 21st. In fact, I will look up the day of spring, so spring 2020. Looking up spring 2020 this year will fall on someone already knows, it's going to be March 19th, okay? So for the purposes of this exercise, we are going to say March 19th is the first day of spring and the universe's birthday, starting its sun cycle. And remember, we talked about the old planets. The sun used to be considered a planet back in the day in terms of the old planets. So I want to show you this planet diagram. We're not seeing the moon here. These are the traditional planets. We're not seeing the moon either, sun or moon. And so we need those, right? So what we can do is we can take a look at the Mind of Humanity divining cards. You will see here that the sun represents number 1. How interesting that it falls on the 19th this year. 1 plus 9 is 10. 1 plus 0 is 1. So it's got a lot of sun energy on the spring equinox this year. 52 days following, we can do the math. I can just look at the calendar here and kind of eye it. So if we're going to March, which you can do looking at a calendar, and we're looking at the 19th, I'm going to count out the days, make sure I do this math correctly. So we'll just count it in multitudes of 7. So 7 days is the 26th, 14th is the 2nd, 21 is the 9th, 28 is the 16th, then we're looking at 35 is the 23rd, 42 is the 30th, 49 is May 7th, 8th is the 50th, 9 is the 51st day. We're looking at May 10th is where 52 days of the first cycle have been completed for the universe. And it enters in at that point into moon. And then you go again, counting out the days until we get to the next cycle. So the 17th would be 7 days, 14 days to the 24th, 21 days to the 31st, and now we're into June. June 7th would be 28 days, then 35 on the 14th, and 42 on the 21st, 49 on the 28th, 50 the 29th, 51 on the 30th, and it looks like July 1st rather. July 1st enters into the Mars period for this phase for the universe. And so you can see I'm just calculating out 52 days, starting with the birthday of the universe, which is spring. And the sequence of planets are like this. I'm going to go to the planets in terms of the Loving Relationships Guide so you can see the numbers. So the first is sun, the second is moon. Then we're going to skip a little bit for the way that it works. And forgive me that I don't have this figured out today for you. But it's going to go sun, moon, Mars, Mercury, Jupiter, Venus, and Saturn. And so as to not get confused by this diagram, I'm going to teach you a very easy way to understand how the 52 day cycles go for 7, and you'll know exactly which planet is which. So we start with the seed. We're going to think about the sequence of the year as if it's a plant that is growing. Okay? Here's how a plant grows. 1, you have to plant a seed, right? The seed is the sun. Then the seed has to have water and intention and warmth. That is the moon. The moon is the water. Okay? Then it needs the power to break the earth and surge forth through the soil and find sun. That is Mars. Mars is the warrior of the sun, the soldier of the sun. It breaks the earth. It shatters barriers. Mercury is next. It's the planet of travel. It is the direct path to illumination. And so Mercury is the travel, is the path. That's when we start to enter the summer and the plants start to grow very fast. That's Mercury. And then Jupiter is expansion. So we start to see the plant spread out and grow and reach into different corners and areas and start to form leaves. And we see that green abundance. Jupiter represents wealth. And then we see Venus. It's the formation of flowers. The plants are flourishing. They're showing off its outer beauty through the innermost force. It is showing its greatest potential and the decor that each plant brings to the table. So that's Venus. And then finally that fruit, it becomes pollinated and the flower turns into fruit after it's pollinated. That's Saturn. Saturn is the fruit. It's the harvest. So we have a full cycle of 7 planets. I'm going to tell you them again. Sun is the seed. Moon is the water. Mars is the strength to break the earth. Mercury is the path for which the plant grows. Jupiter is the expansion and the extension of branches and the formation of leaves. Venus is the flower. Saturn is the fruit. That's the 7 cycles. And now you can understand how they have implications in our year. For example, with myself, I am in my Saturn phase now until my birthday in March. So it's coming up. And it is a time for reflection. The fruit of my labor has been presented. I've had a chance to assess it, to look and see if perhaps it had some flaws. Maybe some things I would want to do differently for the next year. Checking my checks and balances and looking at where my karmic debts are. Perhaps some of the difficulties that I've faced as a result. Reflections, teaching oneself. This is Saturn. And so I'm going to use this as a planning phase for my birthday when it comes, and I can use the elements of the new moon as well. And I can do this working together with the moon phases and where I am and where the universe is. The universe is also in its Saturn phase. Remember, its birthday is on March 19th this year. Also has a March birthday. So the universe is also going through its own reflection, taking a look at and observing what kind of karmic influences are happening right now. How can it correct itself and correct the rest of the world as a result? You want to ride that wave. You don't want to fight against the universe. The universe is going to be reflecting in the same way. It is a macrocosm of who you are. So when you look at this Kabbalistically and you start to follow the phases and you align yourself, it's as if you find these secret currents that can carry you out into the ocean without having to fight against any sort of undertow. And you can ride the wave back to shore with ease. That comes through experience and time and knowledge and understanding how to calculate and predict specific cycles in your life. That's the beauty of Kabbalah. That's why it's just such a wonderful practice to have and an element to have by your side that you can call upon at any time. If you ever feel doubts, it's very helpful. So I hope that illustration has been of assistance. Let's keep going now through the aspects of the new moon. So we talked about how to pay attention to your individual phase. It's about calculating your birthday. Well, you know your birthday, but calculating out 52 days in sequences 7 times, and you're going to see an overlap with Saturn at the end. After you calculate, you're going to see an overlap where Saturn goes a few days past your birthday. That is to say, don't do, all of your intentions for bringing something new into your life on your birthday. Give yourself a few days, man. Because you'll start to come into your own light with this sun energy. You'll have a little bit of residual from Saturn. Unless you know for sure what you need to do, you got your plans, you're good to go, then go for it. Nothing should prevent you from getting out there and riding the big kahuna, okay? I'm saying these things knowing that people are going to go against the grain and go, right into the riptide, because we're all a bit crazy. And we all want to have this free will. But understand that you can use this as a prediction system. Not to have fear and not to reserve your actions for some reason, but there might be the best time for bringing things into your life. There might be the best time for materializing something. That's what I'm saying. Pick the ideal day. It's right there for you. It tells you very clearly based on the information I'm giving you. Okay, so the new moon is a great time to balance out your giving with receiving. This is a good time to receive. This sun energy is a constant. The sun, think about how it works. It's constantly showering the earth's life with light that sustains it. So think about the things that maybe you've been giving too much yourself of, and to not feel guilty receiving for the first time in a long time if it's been that way. It's a good time to receive. And to not feel any shame or shyness in it. When it's offered to you, all you have to do is say thank you and receive. That's it. You don't have to give up excuses. Oh, thank you so much for doing that. No, just say thank you. It's much more powerful to just say thanks and leave it at that. Say it one time and leave it at that. Just like with an apology. Hey, I'm sorry for doing this. This wasn't fair. My bad. I apologize. Then you leave it. Okay, it's a good time to start a new job or a new project. I can't wait to tell you all about the different things that are in the process right now. Knowing that my birthday's coming up in March, I'm keeping some of it hush-hush. I don't want people to go rummaging through my letters that are in transit. But I will tell you, as soon as these moments have come to full realization, I can't wait to share. Got a lot of developments happening, and you should too. This is the ideal time. It's a great time to start a new relationship, if that's the type of thing that you're looking to do. I personally can reveal to you that my idea of love has changed quite a bit over a very short period of time. I could say even over the course of a few months. My idea of love, as far as it being a necessity in my life, I've even said it on stream. Oh, I deserve to have someone who's going to appreciate me and care for me. Yeah, I deserve myself. I deserve to appreciate myself. It starts there. And if the idea is being confident in one's actions and really loving oneself, that showers upon everyone. And that's really all you need. Would it be nice to have someone to hold on to at night when the bed is otherwise empty, if it weren't for you being there? I suppose so. It's nice to have companionship. Yes. And if it's not happening, guess what? It's a great opportunity to imagine ideally what you would like to have. And when I think about it, I think of someone being just like me, that would not want to be held on to, that understands just as much as I do. I understand for myself that I need downtime, recharge time. You know, I've gone through many years of convincing myself and being convinced that I had to be in a relationship where I was locked down by someone or otherwise locking someone down. It's so destructive to the spirit. It is. I'm not just saying this to say it. It's so destructive to the spirit to feel like you need to lock someone down or to be locked down yourself. It destroys creative output instantly. No, it should be the opposite. It should be two people coming together with great ideas to appreciate each other's talents. And really, that's as far as it goes. Lovemaking is appreciating someone else's talents. You're being given pleasure by that person. That's a talent. So you appreciate it by giving them pleasure. It's a wonderful thing. That's lovemaking. It can be done looking at someone in their eyes. It can be done practicing meditation with them. It can be done in silence. It can be done holding hands. It can be done taking a walk, and it can be done fornicating. All of these are aspects of lovemaking. Lovemaking is appreciating the skill in another. And lovemaking is not appreciating the flaws, but accepting that they exist and figuring out ways through your own creative drive to overcome them. That is that's as far as I would ever go. And I would not seek it out actively. In other words, I would not be saying to myself, if I don't have that, then I'm not happy, I'm miserable. Many people do say that. but I would stray from it because it's going to reduce your ability to create. And there's nothing more powerful than enhancing the imagination to create new things. We need to constantly be creating new things. That's part of the reason why we're here as humans. It's one of our biggest drives. Just think about the life creation process itself. We bring a life into this world. That's creation. And it's magical. It's something to be revered. The moment that a woman misses her period is to start that work to say, well, even with lovemaking, not even, but at the point of lovemaking, is to put that intention into bringing life into this world. If that's what you're meant to do, or if you're looking to simply enjoy the pleasure of lovemaking, then okay. Just make sure that the intentions are there. Try to make the seed grow as best as it can. That's what I'm saying. Okay, so it's a good time to start a new relationship. Abbreviation, depending on your own individual cycles. What are the best planetary cycles to be starting a relationship? I'll give them to you. Your sun phase, 52 days from your birthday outward in the calendar. That's a great time to start a relationship. Another great time would be Jupiter phase. So we have to pass through Moon after Sun, Mars, Mercury, and then you hit Jupiter. So that would be a good time to start a relationship. It's a very expansive energy. Then the next phase, Venus, is also a great time to start a relationship. So we're looking at 3 ideal positive times, for a total of 156 days in the year, which are ideal for starting a relationship. Your Sun phase, Jupiter phase, and Venus phase. What are the other phases that are pretty decent, especially, and it's dependent upon the moon, the neutral ones? We're looking at moon phase, so 52 days after your birthday, that phase of 52, so day 53 to 104 within your yearly cycle after your birthday. That's a good time to start a relationship when the moon is waxing, like right now. So be careful. Be cognizant. Its aspect is very positive right now. If people were born on a Monday, or you've got these numbers that I can show you right here. If you look at number 2, it says moon, includes number combinations. If you were born on the 2nd, the 11th, the 20th, or the 29th, then you have alignment with the moon. If you're born on a Monday, you have alignment with the moon. And so in that case, you want to connect with family. You want to work on your emotions. Right now is a very positive time if you have a lot of moon energy. You're going to feel the shift instantly. I talk to Cancer signs about this. I also talk with Gemini signs, and I talk with Virgos. They all say pretty much the same thing when the moon is waxing and it starts right away. They're like, whoa, I finally feel better today. Hey, want to hang out? You can almost predict it. You can predict it. It's just one of those interesting things. So a positive time to start a relationship, especially getting engaged, would be when you're in your moon phase. So once again, we're talking after 52 days past your birthday. That phase of 52 days from day 53 to day 104 is a great time to get engaged or to start a relationship if the moon is waxing. That is, right now, like today, you don't see a sliver in the sky going all the way to the new moon, to the full moon. So not a sliver in the sky, expanding to the full moon. That is a great time for you to get engaged or start a relationship in the moon phase. If it is waning, it is not a good time. So let's say people are already in a relationship and they're like, William, I already started my relationship at a time when the moon was waning. And I got married on a Saturday. Saturday's a very popular day to get married. It's like, what are people thinking? Get married either on a Friday because it's Venus energy or on a Sunday. But don't do it on a freaking Saturday. It's Saturn's day. It's all about karma. Why do you think 90% of marriages are failing? Well, they don't get off to a good start. I can tell you that much if you get married on a Saturday. Even worse if you're getting married during one of these phase cycles when the moon is waning. Whew. You should take it into consideration. That's why I tell people, if you're in a relationship and you want to renew the energy, to think about doing a renewal of your vows, and to send me a message, man. Send me an email to williamofthesun, sun@gmail.com, Say, William, we'd like to know the ideal date for us to renew our vows so we can reset this energy. You know, we happen to be going through some challenges right now. See, no problem. Let's do it. This is part of the consultations that I give, and you can understand this knowledge comes through practice. I've been practicing Kabbalistic knowledge for over 7 years now. I've had a full Saturn cycle to go through this, to understand how it influences my life and how it has influenced my life going back. I've tracked all the way back from this year back to year 1, different incidents that have occurred and how they align Kabbalistically. That'll be another video for a day, but it's amazing to look at. Highly personal. Well, I'll have to think about whether or not I'm going to share it. But it's a practice we can all do. It's very powerful. Okay. So, the other time that is good for starting a relationship would be during your Mercury phase. So once again, you have Sun, then 52 days you have Moon, then 52 days you have Mars, then 52 days you have Mercury. If the Moon is waxing, it is a great time to start a relationship. If it's waning, not a good time. Okay? So just keep that in mind. You can use Mercury. Mercury is very affected by the Moon. Moon cycles affect Mercury almost as much as it affects the Moon. So those who are born on Wednesday, or if you're a Gemini, or if you're a Virgo, you have Mercury energy right there. I can guarantee you if you're one of those three, so like I said, if you're born on a Wednesday, or if you have 5, if you're born on, like these are the numbers, 5, 14. I hate doing math when I'm live because I don't want to screw up. 5, 14, and 23. If you're born on one of those days, you have Mercury energy. Okay? So you can understand something about those people right away. If they're a Gemini, if they're a Virgo, born on a Wednesday, or have born on either the 5th, the 14th, or the 23rd, these people love to communicate. They love to talk about intelligent things with you. They love to dive into the deep when it comes to intellectual talk. They're great promoters of what they do. And when they believe in something, they can convince people. Very good with commerce, with the things that they love to do. They're very convincing. Usually good-looking people. I know that's a broad statement, but usually in that case with Mercury energy, it's true. And these are people that love to travel. How do I know all these things? It's just Kabbalah. You know, it's just how it is. So a good time to start a relationship would be during your Mercury phase when the Moon is waxing, getting bigger. Okay? And what I would ideally do during that time is go and solidify your relationship with this person by traveling, or perhaps by writing a love letter to one another, a declaration of love in the written form, or to just do something special that involves going to another place, because Mercury is very connected to travel. And as far as Moon goes, people will ask me, what's a good thing to do during Moon phase when the Moon is moon is waxing? What's a good thing to do for engagement? And I would say, do something family-based. Include family in on it. It's going to enhance the power of the declaration. And you can do this with the renewal of your vows as well. Let's say you guys got married on a Saturday during your Saturn phase or during your Mars phase, and you've been fighting for several years and you want to reset the energy. Well, do it on spring. The first day of spring, March 19th. Let me check the day of the week. Let's just see what the day of the week is for the sake of knowing. I'll show you how this works. So March 19th is a Thursday. It's a great day for a renewal of your vows. That whole week of the spring spring equinox, that whole week is charged with sun energy. So that specific day of spring, we have sun energy amplified because it's the 19th and it's during the week of sun. It's on a Jupiter day because it's Thursday. And the only thing that I want to check on is the moon. I think it may be on the tail end of waning. Let's check out moon cycles. This is what we do as Kabbalists. We look at these things and see what's going on to determine ideal days for initiating things. Okay, so looking at the new moon, we have on March 24th. So the moon will be waning during the spring equinox, but I'm not worried. I would never be worried anyway. It's not about worry. But I wouldn't be too concerned about it because we have a lot of sun energy that counterbalances where the moon is, and it's just about at the point of starting to wax again. It will be on the 24th. So just 5 days short of it. So it's a very powerful time to renew your vows. I would say consider it. And this is how we calculate it. There might be better days during the year to do it, depending on your birthdays. It also depends on when you fornicate for the first time, or when you get married, or when you have your first kiss, or when you have your first date. You're going to know, you get that butterfly feeling in your stomach when you've connected with someone. That's the day that you really create that cord and you join it with them. And when you create that cord with that person, that starts the birth of a soul between the two of you, that energetic soul that runs off of specific rules. And so depending on when you form it, it will have specific aspects, just like our own astrological signs and our own ruling planets based on our birthday have influence over us. Okay. So we've been talking about new beginnings, today being the new moon. As you can see, it's gone from being full to waning until it's now starting to move in the opposite direction, the balance of the scale. It's moving in the other direction. It's time to bring new things into our lives. It's a great time to get engaged, depending on your Kabbalistic phase. The first 3 days of the new moon are most powerful for intentions and spell work especially. Yeah, for those who are interested in doing some spell work, people ask me, okay, where do I begin? Do I have to do a ritual? Oh, geez. I would say, some people would say, absolutely, you need to do rituals. Do rituals work? Pardon me. Yes, rituals work to an extent, and I would say the ritual of the mind and intention is just as powerful, if not more powerful. So depending on where your mind is and how strong your imagination is, you can get through things with minimal ritual-based practice. So you're just going to imagine this sun, the starlight, ascending into your crown, down to your heart, a white light, and then think about that highest good, that place that we talked about in the beginning of the stream, with all the details, and then reading it as if you've written a letter from yourself to your highest good that's going to reach them without interference because you're going to keep it secret. And then you move on with your day, or your night, or you go to sleep, or you get up in the morning and you read it, and then you go to do your work. You do the good work. That's a spell, okay? And the clothing that you wear, depending on how you're trying to make yourself look, is also a spell. If you're trying to make yourself look less attractive, that's a spell. If you're trying to make yourself look more attractive, that's a spell. It all depends. Everything that you do is a demonstration of symbols, which is a form of spell work. That's why I'm trying to deconstruct this for us, so we can better understand what spells really are. Rituals are great. It's why some people go to church to be forgiven for their sins. They want to receive communion. They want to go through the process because they want to connect with the idea that they've been pardoned. And then you'll have some people who have just received communion, and the moment that they're walking down the steps of the parish, they're committing sin or they're trespassing. So be it. The meditative process allows us to work through all these things, and I'm teaching it. It's not to judge someone and say, that person's really bad. Look at them committing sin after they just took communion. Some people have decided to take a passive role in this life, like you take a passive role in an RPG, in a role-playing game, an MMORPG. You could be a support class where you're providing healing and buffs to people, but you're not doing a whole lot of action. Then there are other people that are tanks. They're on the front lines. They're wrecking shit. It all depends on what your role is going to be in this life, and it's no person's place to judge, because we're all taking our own role with the end goal being mastery. Mastery and reaching the highest level of that specific area. That's why I don't judge. I really can't judge people, or I try not to, because they're trying to reach mastery with a specific thing. And if they got a reaction from me and it's negative, well, I've helped them gain some experience points. I'm responsible for that. If a person levels up by doing something negative or harmful to another, it's because I've reacted. And I now have to face someone who has a stronger ability to do that. That's dangerous. Be cognizant of how you react. Be cognizant of what you put your attention towards, because you may find that you're enhancing the skills of someone else who wants to continue to harm you or harm others. Wouldn't we rather enhance the skills of those support classes and those who are looking to enhance our own abilities so that we can reach the goal faster? I would say absolutely, though sometimes the people will give us big challenges when we should be just breezing through life in specific areas, makes us grow up really fast. That's why I don't judge. But I do plan on reaching mastery in the areas that I concentrate in life. And you should too. Plant those seeds. Today's the day to do it. You got 3 days to really put this in motion. And we're going to talk about it more. I appreciate you chiming in and listening and watching this evening. I'm grateful to the new subscribers who have been coming in and checking out the channel. Thank you for supporting this channel and supporting what I do. You know, I put this together and I get up here online and I improvise, you know, with the extent outside of what we have here on these banners. All of it is improvisation, and it's just pure stream of consciousness and knowledge. And I want you to know that I do it so that you can sense the purity of my heart in what I love to do. And it is to shower the world with knowledge that otherwise would be difficult to find. So, thank you for watching. I'm sending you blessings of the new moon. We got this, okay? Believe in yourself. If you don't, send me a message to williamofthesun@gmail.com and let me know what your challenges are. Don't think, oh God, I wonder if he's going to charge me, things like, you know, don't think in fear. Just if you need help, reach out to me and I would love to assist you. That's what we're here to do. Okay, have a wonderful evening, and don't forget to click and subscribe or like if you like this video, if you found it was helpful for you. If you found that the knowledge was unique and was able to give you some clarity and insight, please like it and encourage your friends to watch and subscribe. And I wish you a wonderful evening in a new moon. Thanks again for being part of this live stream, and I'll see you on the flip side tomorrow.